Welcome to Season 3 of the Languages Pedagogy Podcast, where language learning meets innovation, culture, and pedagogy. I'm Mike, your host, and together we'll explore groundbreaking strategies, challenge traditional methods, and empower educators and learners alike. My wonderful listeners, welcome back to this episode 93, which is part 2 of this fantastic and amazing conversation with one of the greatest teachers I've ever met. I'm talking about Vicky Saumell. For this second part, we will continue talking about the rise of AI translation tools and how much it will change the way we see, perceive, or learn languages from now on. The first part was really interesting. She actually shares some of her points of view there and what she actually thinks about it. Let's keep going and let's keep checking what else can we learn from it. So, without further ado, let's continue with part 2 of this amazing journey with Vicky Saumell and the rise of AI translation tools and what's the future for language learning. Let's get started.
Yeah,
The person who was talking to me was my former boss. A
yeah,
woman, she has her school and
yeah,
everything perfect. And she was telling me that literally I just showed her what it really said and she got
yeah,
blushed immediately. She wanted to run away.
yeah, yeah. Wow,
It was terrible.
wow.
It was very bad actually. And
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
part of the
yeah. So
translation and learning, I mean, we got two different things, but at the same time, they're both connected.
they're
We
connected.
agree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And imagine that in a very sensitive context, in a business meeting where it's really important what you say and how you say it.
Exactly.
Uh, so I don't think in those contexts people will still need to learn English.
Yes.
And they will need the, I mean, you can have AI mediating certain things, but you need the spontaneous interaction, understanding, and interacting that I don't think AI can do yet.
Yeah. Well, definitely. And it will take a long time actually to get something like that, something that can actually
Yeah,
interact like a human being. I mean, it's basically creating another human being. Which why would
absolutely.
we create
Yeah,
another human being if we are already a human being and we can actually do it? It's all about learning. That's it. You know?
yeah, yeah. I do think it's really good for brainstorming, for example. Like, if you're a teacher, I have used it to brainstorm ideas to teach something or create a lesson plan.
Yeah.
Uh, However, I have never used the plan as suggested. I have only taken certain ideas that I find interesting. But then again, there are so many different ways of teaching the same thing, and the way of teaching something has to do with your teaching beliefs, with what you believe teaching and learning is. It has a lot to do with the kind of students you have. So again, there are so many decisions that a teacher makes before we teach something.
Yes.
uh, and I don't think AI can
Can still
understand
do
that.
that. Exactly. But in
Yeah,
this point,
it can
we're
suggest options, and you can
true.
look over those options and say, "Oh, this looks interesting. I'm going to adapt this to my students."
So in this case, if we have this example, now, how do you think AI can outperform traditional methods? What's the part that AI can definitely do? Like, yes, this is the part that it will cover a teacher or something like it, like 100%, or at least the closest to 100%.
Um, I don't know. I don't think it can. It might in the future, but I think it also has to do with prompting, and I think loads of people still don't know how to prompt, and learning how to prompt efficiently can produce better results.
Hmm.
So, for example, there's a teacher I work with. She had this brilliant idea of adding when she's prompting ChatGPT, for example, to create a lesson plan, she's asking it to match it to the Bloom's taxonomy,
Oh,
uh,
oh,
which is very interesting. So it says, okay, I want to create a plan for teaching, whatever, talking about experiences, but I want you to give me a set of activities that match Bloom's taxonomy.
mhm.
And the result is really good. The result is really good. So it's going to give you the 6 steps, and it's going to give you one activity or 2 activities for each step of the each
Bloom,
level
the
of the Bloom's
taxonomy, yeah.
taxonomy.
Wow.
Yeah. So you are moving from the base. Yeah, you're moving from the base, which is like recognition and whatever, and then you're moving up, and you end up with more creative work and applying, and it's really interesting. So I
Mhm.
think there's a lot in that can be improved if we know how to prompt.
Exactly.
I have also been trying, for example, like create a lesson plan
Who? That's the
using
hard thing.
task-based learning methodology,
Wow.
or create a lesson plan using guided discovery. And so if you start adding your little bits of preferences in teaching,
Yeah.
of how you want to teach, then it's going to bring back something better. Yeah.
Mhm. So everything is about the prompt then. If you get a really good prompt,
Everything is about the prompt.
you can actually get
Yes.
very
If
good
you
results
have a
there.
really good prompt, yes. The more specific the prompt, the better result. Yeah.
Got it. That sounds really good. In fact, I was actually using a little bit of AI for doing some of those things, planning as well. But talking about the
Yeah.
Bloom's taxonomy or Maslow or things like that. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do the Maslow in this activity or something like that. How can I just
Yeah.
approach the student like that?
Yeah.
And it was pretty interesting the answer. Why do
Yeah.
you think this happened specifically with this type of a prompt? What do you think the AI it's a lot better in this one in this area?
Well, for starters, the database is huge, and probably it has to do with percentage of data about certain stuff. So there probably is more data about traditional English teaching than there is
Hmm.
about task-based learning,
Got
or than
it.
there is about guided discovery.
There are more
So
information
when you
in the
ask it,
database.
exactly. So when you ask it for information in general with no specific methodology in mind, it's going to find more things that are based on traditional PPP, presentation practice production, or communicative language teaching, or something like that. So it's going to bring back results. Remember that this is just mathematical calculations, it's an algorithm. So
Yeah.
you need to redirect the algorithm to show you what you want,
Yes.
not what it wants.
Exactly. I have a student. She's working actually in this area of machine learning.
Yeah.
She got really angry at me when I just say, "Hey, what about the artificial intelligence?" And she was like, "Hey, stop, Mike. Don't call it artificial intelligence.
It's not
It's
intelligent.
not intelligence. It's
Exactly.
just machine learning. We put the
Yeah,
things there.
exactly.
That's all. It's not
Yeah,
artificial intelligence.
exactly. And I
Don't call
say,
it."
sorry, it's not intelligent. It's not understanding what it does. It just produces things. It doesn't know what it does. It's just
Exactly.
calculating things.
And she's actually working in this field, and she was like, "No, no, no, Mike. Everything what is actually being said about this that people will lose their job because of this is it's a total
No,
lie." it's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah, I
At
don't
least for
think so.
now, it's
I don't think
impossible.
so. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really
And
fun.
there's another problem with it as well, which is I'm sure Chinese has the same problem. You have lots of varieties of Chinese,
True.
and we have lots of varieties of Spanish, and we have lots of varieties of English. Yeah. The highest percentage of data introduced into these LLMs, which have been created by OpenAI, for example, which is a US based firm,
Exactly.
is a certain variety of English.
So it's
So
gonna be
it's
biased.
mostly English. Okay, so it's mostly English. And then if you need information in another language, it's going to translate with its dangers. So it's mostly English. And within this English is what English?
Mm,
So there are lots of
exactly.
varieties of English that have been overlooked.
True.
And so what is happening is, for example, you have AI plagiarism detection, AI detection for universities. And what happens is that they are basing their detection on a certain variety of English. So anything that is written in a different variety of English, and even things written by a non-native speaker of English, will be detected as written by AI because it doesn't fit the parameters of the variety of English that the model has been fed with. So multilingual representation is a huge problem in these models. And I'm
Yes.
sure it happens for Chinese as well. Which Chinese is
M-
taken as
e-
the model?
Exactly.
And what
Exactly.
happens with the rest?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's one of the main issues actually here. Yeah, with the Chinese, of course. I mean, and Chinese is a very special language, I would say. It. And in this context, it's impossible actually to do something like that, to be specific or I don't know. I think it's too hard actually for AI to get to that point that can get to know exactly what the person wants or how it is or what the message we want to convey. It's gonna
Yeah.
turn really hard. So
Yeah.
in this
So
context, I would say it's true. I totally back you up on that one.
yeah. And then there's people tell me, oh, so you want to go to Japan? And I say, yeah, I'm studying Japanese. And they go like, why? You have, you have your phone. You can and I go like, yeah, but you know what? I would really enjoy, as a language lover, I would really enjoy being able to say
Communicate.
something and to communicate with people and not depend on my phone. I know I can depend on my phone, but I would really love to be able to talk to people.
Exactly.
And that is something, it's, of course, I'm probably not the majority of the people, but I'm sure there are loads of people who still learn a language because it means something
Exactly. It's
to them.
irreplaceable. Something irreplaceable. I mean, that
Yeah,
happiness, that joy that you have actually when you communicate in a different language, not only for
yeah,
you, but as the person who you're speaking to. It's amazing. It's like, wow,
absolutely. You are
it
trying.
happens. Yes. It happens.
Yeah,
It happens a lot, and it happens actually in Chinese to me every time they actually ask me something and I answer. They're like, "What?"
and you can answer. Yeah.
It
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And
it's the
also because
happiness.
they know how hard it is, how hard the language is.
Exactly. That's
So
true.
just you've taken the time to learn. Wow. I mean, they are impressed.
Yes, it's true, and it's really fun at a certain point to see it. Because even if you say just one word or one phrase, they feel like
Yeah,
the most amazing thing
absolutely.
happened in their world in that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
say something
Well,
in
I've been
Chinese,
told, yeah, I've been told that, I mean, even if you blubber, like a
true.
few phrases in Japanese, people will pay lots of attention to you just because you're trying.
Yes. that's the cultural part, that's, I don't know. I
Yeah,
think that also happens in Latin America as well, with any language actually. If you
yeah,
just say something in the other language, with the language
yeah,
of the person who you are, it's
absolutely,
amazing. It happens like that.
absolutely.
So that's
Yeah.
part of the motivation in this case as well. How do you think these AI impact motivation for learning new languages? Do you think AI motivates people to learn new languages, or to make it more lazy?
Mm, I don't. There was something in one of your questions which was has AI a specific ways in which AI has helped improve the learning process, and I
Yes,
love the learning process. And then I said, okay, there's a philosophical question behind this, which is what is learning? What is learning? Why do we learn? And what does it take to learn something?
exactly. Yes,
And then you realize that at least most of my high school students, they are not using AI to learn. They are using AI as a shortcut to completing certain tasks because they
homework.
don't want to make the effort to learn.
Yes,
And then it has nothing to do with what AI can do and can't do. It has to do with the internal motivation a person has to learn and understanding what you need to do in order to learn.
true.
And if you're willing to make that effort, then you do what it takes, and maybe AI can help you in certain things. But if you want AI to do all your work instead of you doing the work you need to do to learn,
Exactly.
then there's nothing I can do about it. I mean,
That's true. Well, it is what it is. So, in motivation part, I think it's a different type of thing, right? AI cannot
yeah.
motivate people to learn a language. It's totally the
No,
opposite, I think.
even Duolingo, which is even before AI.
Yeah.
I started taking
Memorize.
Japanese. Yeah, exactly. I started taking Japanese lessons, and then on the side, I was doing Japanese on Duolingo. I said, okay, it's a nice way of complementing it. And you get caught up in this gamification thing that Duolingo has. Like it tries
Yes.
to motivate you to do more and says, don't forget, you have to try again or whatever.
Yeah.
And for a certain amount of time, it worked. It was like, oh, I'm forgetting to do my Duolingo 10 minutes today. And so you
You
do
go and
it.
do it. Yeah.
But then, but then that kind of,
Went
fades,
down.
and it's not easy to keep it up. So I do think that external motivation, it's something very hard to sustain. And I think that the only motivation that really works comes from inside, and it's what you really
Intrinsic
want to do,
motivation.
and the intrinsic motivation, and what drives you from within to
Exactly.
do certain things.
That's true. That's totally true. You got the point over there. Yeah, everything is intrinsic motivation here.
Yeah,
If you're not intrinsically
yeah,
motivated, it doesn't matter, And also it's about discipline. Motivation, it's you want it, but discipline is something that you're pushing yourself to do something as well. I think it's part of it.
absolutely. And external motivation exists, but it can be short-lived. It's like, okay, so someone was telling me the other day, okay, but suppose that I'm your employer, and I
Yeah,
tell you that if you study this and if you take this test, you're going to have a better chance at promotion. And so you may agree, and you do it for a certain time, and you do that, and you take the test, and it lands you a promotion, whatever. But it's very short term. And I think that intrinsic motivation stays with you for longer time, and it's necessary for longer term objectives.
yeah. Short term.
Short
That's
term,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally true. Now, you as an educator, do you encourage your students to use AI?
I do teach them. What I try to teach them is about biases and assumptions and about the pitfalls in precision. So I said, okay, I know you are already using AI, because that's the truth. I mean, even if I don't say anything, they are already using AI. And so I can tell when they hand in written assignments, for example, and I go like, okay, this is AI. And then I go sit with them and I talk to them, and eventually they admit to it. And so what I try to teach them is, okay, so these are the problems AI has, and these are the things it might be good for, and these are the goods are it's not really good for. And so you need to make a choice. I cannot force you, but you need to make a choice
Yeah,
as to how you're going to use it in a way that is productive.
exactly. So then it's like encourage them, but being very conscious to what they're going to do, keeping in
Yeah,
mind what they are capable of.
critical thinking first.
Exactly. Well, critical think, such a beautiful word. So
Yeah,
beautiful words,
what a
right now
word.
it's, oh
What a
my
concept.
goodness. It seems like kind of a utopian world right now to me, talking about the critical thinking, because right now people don't even know what critical thinking is. And this episode is sponsored by Broad Club Languages at MikeEnglishOnline.com, where learning has no limits. Are you ready to take your language skills, teaching career, or professional growth to the next level? Whether you're looking to master a new language, prepare for international exams, or enhance your teaching expertise, Broad Club Languages is here to help. At MyEnglishOnline.com, we offer language learning for all levels and ages: English, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, and more. English for specific purposes: business, academic, travel, and professional communication. International exams preparation: IELTS, TOEFL, CEFR, and beyond. But that's not all. If you're an educator, trainer, or aspiring teacher, we also provide workshops and seminars on pedagogy, educational psychology, motivation, classroom strategies, and innovative teaching techniques. Teacher training programs to help you stay ahead in the ever-evolving world of education. Expert insights on language acquisition, student engagement, and modern teaching methodologies. At Broad Club Languages, we don't just teach, we empower, inspire, and transform. Whether you're a student, a teacher, or a professional, we help you unlock opportunities, confidence, and success. Visit MikeEnglishOnline.com today and start your journey toward mastery, because learning is a lifelong adventure, and we're here to guide you every step of the way. Ready to level up? Click the link in the description and join Broad Club Languages today.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
in
we're
my
going
experience
back to
over here,
fake news. People sharing news that you read the headline and you say, this is definitely not true.
yes.
I mean, just from reading the headline, you know it's not true. And people are sharing that as if it was true. And you go like, oh my God, where's your critical thinking?
Yeah, there's no, yeah, and it's very hard actually. And this is the other side of the coin, as I just told you at the beginning. We have different type of concept and different type of teaching. Teaching must be like quite the same thing everywhere, but it's not like that, I think. It changes a lot. And now that you mentioned this critical thinking stuff, it's totally different. Even in this aspect of AI, you're telling me something that it is not actually, it doesn't replicate here in this side of the world. It's a total different
Mhm.
story. So it's like
Okay.
we're going in different directions here. It's like I'm driving actually in the opposite way, in the other way, in the wrong way. So it's like, wow, it's really good actually to hear you saying those things, because here is not so common to hear
Hmm.
people talking about it in that context, in that way, especially teachers.
Yeah. But I do understand also that in a context where there is a shortage of teachers, or in places where finding a teacher is either very expensive or geographically difficult. Well, first it was online teaching, but AI may provide a certain level of language instruction, I want to say, that could at least help you, a little bit.
Yeah.
It's never going to be as good as a real teacher.
Yes,
But
that's
it
true.
could be a solution in certain contexts.
Definitely. So, do you think it should be the curriculum should change and incorporate AI assisted learning?
I think the curriculum should incorporate AI literacy right now.
Mhm.
Every school, every university, every teacher training college. What we need to do is we need to learn about AI literacy, and that means how does AI work? What is it good for? What is it not good for? How do I counteract or minimize biases and assumptions and lack of precision? And we all need to learn about that.
How's that actually
All.
going there in Argentina, for example? Is it did it start working like that or something? Start changing in the Ministry of Education
Many
or something like
schools,
it?
many schools, especially private schools that are well funded, many are introducing AI,
Mm.
some kind of AI in their curriculum.
Oh yeah.
But not everybody. Many schools are having professional development sessions related to AI. So that is very popular. So,
Mm.
so schools understand that this is something we need to learn about.
Mm. But it's basically
I
in
have
the private sector, right?
more in the private sector, yes. I have been focusing on the issues of AI more than the benefits of AI in my work. So I've been talking a lot about the environmental impact of AI, about biases and assumptions, about multilingual representation, which I have already told you about. But
Mhm.
the environmental impact is huge, and people don't know about it because, of course, AI companies don't want you to know about it.
Exactly.
So even if you ask ChatGPT about the environmental impact, it's going to give you a very light version of the problems with it. And I have been collecting data for a year and a half already, and it's terrible. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to tell people that it's not all roses. It's not
Yeah.
all good. We need to know about the issues
So
and
that's
how
more a
to
little bit more
try
about
to
the
minimize
ethical.
them.
Yeah, that's a little bit more about
Yeah,
the ethical concern.
ethical, ethical, yeah, and responsible use of AI.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Well, that's something that is not going to be that easy, you know. It's going to take a
Oh
while,
no,
I believe.
no, because you're pushing against the giants who are pushing for use AI for everything,
Exactly.
and many people are convinced and actually do. So
That's true. So, what would you tell the educators, teachers right now? What would you advise
um,
them in this topic, like AI? What should they do in this context?
so first of all, you need to understand how AI works. So you're not an engineer, you're not a computer scientist, you're not a data analyst, but you need to understand how AI works. And AI is not intelligent, as we said before. So once you understand that, then you can start seeing all the issues that are related to it. And then there are ways of minimizing some of the issues. So learning to prompt and refining prompts, refining your prompts on paper or on a word processor if you want before you prompt, because each time you prompt, you are it has a huge environmental impact. For example, this is very simple data. A series of of 5 to 10 prompts produces 4.32 grams of carbon dioxide. And you say, that's not very much, 4 grams. Sounds
For one
good.
person.
Well, that's one person prompting like 5 to 10 questions to ChatGPT. That's 4.32 grams. A Google search produces 0.2 grams. It's a huge difference. So
In a macro,
do you need
it's
to
a
prompt?
lot.
Do you need to use ChatGPT as a web searcher? No.
Exactly.
So keep using Google or whatever web searcher you like to do your web searches.
Yes.
And keep AI for the other stuff that a web searcher cannot do. And then the larger the model, so ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini,
DeepSeek or
they are
whatever.
very large models that can carry out any task you give them. So that means that in order to carry out that task, they need to use more resources because they need to look for a very, very big database.
Yes.
And looking through that huge database in order to carry out your task is going to waste more resources. So if there is a smaller model that can do more specific tasks, for example, there are certain tools for teachers to create lesson plans. Use that instead of using ChatGPT. So you can use Magic School AI or you can use TWE.
Yes.
And the environmental impact is really, really smaller.
Of course, much smaller.
So
Wow.
the smaller the model, the smaller or the lesser the impact. So we need to pick our battles. Say, if you can Google search, Google search. If you need AI, find a small model that does exactly the task you need, and don't use ChatGPT.
Wow.
and learn to prompt.
Well, basically, yeah. As you say, prompt is everything here. You actually know how
Prompt
to
is
do a
everything.
very
Yeah.
good prompt. That's it. Maybe you won't need to keep asking or researching more or searching more. If you got the really good
Exactly.
prompt, that's it. One is enough.
Exactly. You don't need to refine the prompt afterwards. If your original prompt is really good, then one prompt and you're done.
And that's it.
And you
Yeah.
don't need to reprompt and refine.
That's being aware, create
Yeah.
awareness in that sense as well. That's true. So looking ahead
Yeah.
10 or 20 years, do you think AI will completely reshape the way we approach language learning?
That's really hard to know. It will probably get better. And so in that sense, if it gets better, it might change the way we approach it. As
Definitely.
it stands, I would say no. But if it gets better, who will know?
No, that's true. But in 10, 20 years, who knows, right? It's true. But if it's in a positive way, I mean, that would be amazing.
You know how we thought virtual reality would change the world at some
Exactly.
point?
Yes.
And it hasn't. I don't think it has. I mean, it has some very specific uses and it's being used, but it hasn't changed the world.
True. The world was totally different back in the days, back in the 90s, back in the 80s, we actually thought that the future was not going to be like the way it is now, but we're actually living the future right now with flying cars. Right now, there's flying cars. Right now, there's a lot of technology that can do everything for you. You don't need to do anything, move not even one finger. You have everything with your voice.
I mean, I think that, smart houses, for example, and AI applied to smart houses is a great thing. It's a great thing.
And before we're heading to the final part of this amazing conversation with Vicky Saumell, I just want to remind you that new episodes drop every Monday and Friday. So make sure to tune in weekly for your dose of thought-provoking conversations. Also, you can find our show in all the main platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and follow us for more.
detecting light or detecting temperature and adjusting settings to that.
Those
And
are really good. Yeah. Like a little bit
those are really
stuff.
good
Yeah.
uses. Those are really good uses.
Linguistically
But
speaking,
they are not
additional.
human,
Yes.
They
You
don't need
got
a
it.
human interaction.
That's true. That's true. That's true, Vicky. Well, Vicky, I just want to say thank you. I think we just reached the last part of this one.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much, Vicky, for this time. It was really good, really eye-opening to me. Many things that you said, I even learned a lot of stuff with you right now. I never stop, and we never
Yeah.
stop learning. Thank you very much for this time.
No, we never stop. I never stop learning.
That's true. That's true, Vicky. So, any final thought that you would
Okay.
like to say?
No. Read.
Read. Amazing.
Read.
That's the best one. All right,
Keep
Vicky. So,
yourself informed and updated.
exactly. So again, thank you very much, Vicky, and I hope this is not the last time we can have a really good conversation.
No, hopefully not. You're welcome.
And well, thank you very much for joining us on this one. It was an amazing, amazing topic and great time with Vicky Saumell. I just want to remind you to follow. You can follow her channel. You can follow her accounts in all main platforms. She's on YouTube. You can find her as Vicky Saumell, her name, complete name, and you're gonna find her on LinkedIn, X, Instagram as well, also on Facebook. Until next time, stay curious and keep enjoying the amazing path of learning languages.